everyone. Thank you for bearing with us while we were fixing the projector. And welcome to the Poetry Room's final event of 2018, a year in which we have been lucky to hear everyone from Anne Waldman to Kazim Ali, Layli Long Soldier to Danez Smith, Evie Shockley to Forrest Gander. The list goes on. For all of these voices, for the ways they awaken and enliven us, we are grateful. And we are grateful to you, the audience, for coming, not just tonight, but throughout the year. Come rain, come shine, even when you had a pile of papers to write or a pile of papers to grade, when you had to miss dinner, when the news was bleak and the drive was long, you still came, and we are grateful, not just for your attendance, but for your attentiveness, for keeping this vigil with us. Tonight, we could not be more excited to host a poet among the most brilliant and bold of his generation, Ilya Kaminsky, here to read from his forthcoming Graywolf publication, Deaf Republic. To introduce him, please join me in welcoming the author of more than 20 books of poetry and prose, most recently The Wages and Needle's Eye, the inimitable Fanny Howe.
Thankfully, all the awards are written down on the piece of paper here, because I hate reading those things. So I'm very honored to be introducing Ilya. A little farther? Okay. That's the problem.
It's not to say you're petite. Do you want to come over here?
No, this is. Let me hide while I can. Okay, I'm going to read what I wrote. In Odessa, during the year of Ilya Kaminsky's birth, the city began the construction of a literary museum to honor Pushkin, Gorky, Chekhov, Babel, Gogol, Akhmatova, and other poets and writers who had paused or lived in Odessa. It was 1977, and Eastern Europe and the USSR were walled in, cut into blocks. There were few stable governments that were not dictatorships. Ilya's birth among these ghosts of literature and war seems prophetic of the born poet he is. Ilya lost most of his hearing at age 4. Silence became his secret sharer. Paul Celan once wrote in a letter, "The language with which I make my poems has nothing to do with the one spoken here or anywhere." The same could be said of Ilya. His is not the expressiveness that we know how to show. I was in a bookstore a month ago and had one of those supernatural interventions that happens with books. I found a tiny white chapbook so short it had no page numbers, and it was not very well edited. It was stuck behind taller books. And what was it called? Is it called A Soul's Noise? Ilya wrote it last year, published in Berlin by a small press called 500 Places. The book is a meditation on Marina Tsvetaeva. In it, he writes, "There can never be too much of lyric, because lyric itself is too much." The silence of an observer has its own language of thought before it becomes sound or communication. Quiet thinking is like a current in the sea and moves freely until it's disturbed by its own voice. And then it becomes a music each individual sings when speaking. This is what we hear when we hear Ilya read. He wrote a chapbook of poems at age 16. I bless the boat from Yalta to Odessa and bless each passenger, his bones, his genitals. Bless the sky inside his body, the sky, my medicine, the sky, my country. In the 90s, his family was granted political asylum due to Soviet anti-Semitism laws, and they moved to Rochester, New York. Immediately, Ilya sat down to learn English, a language his family didn't yet know, and to stay close to the Russian poetry of his childhood at the same time. There is a kind of voice that you find only as a translation in English. It has its own modulations, pitch, and unnatural stillness, water carried from somewhere else in a glass. Ilya's poems are thrice translated. He writes often of silence and the sky and their place in his thought. When his words are spoken, they burst from rest to freedom and utter a language never heard before. Music, but also gesture approaching theater, a swig of air thrown back. Tonight he'll be reading from his new book, as Mary said, Deaf Republic, to be published by Graywolf in March. Parts of this long poem have been appearing in magazines, so some of you may have read a few already. If you watched neo-realist movies from Italy to Tokyo, France, and Moscow to Berlin, you will recognize the threatened landscape of Ilya's imagination and experience. The screen here, with his poems on it, will eerily be a reminder of subtitles in movies. You won't know which to watch. The great scenes in post-war movies and in the Moscow School of Film, about 40 years of them, are reawakened in Kaminsky's new poems, bringing him very close to spontaneous performance. Our minds are prepared to read white words in English over a river of voices fenced in behind them, images dancing through puffs of white letters. I read in Ilya a poetry born in the mid-20th century when movies were influencing a new poetics. In his poems, I see the smoke of history around the world. I hear courage, spirit, loneliness, and I remember Paul Celan and his friend, the poet Nellie Sachs, who wrote, "A woman escapes and runs and yells and pauses and stands in silence. Silence, which is the soul's noise." Ilya.
Thank you so much, Fanny. It's an honor just to be in the same room with you. To be introduced by you is an unattainable dream. So thank you. And thank you so much, Christina and Mary. I really appreciate all your help, and I appreciate everybody here for being here. Thank you. It's a room full of poets, so it's a little bit intimidating. As you have noticed by now, I speak with a pretty heavy Russian accent, so hopefully you'll be able to follow on the screen. Okay? All right. I'm going to read more or less 3 poems today. The first one and the last one are very short, and the second one is long, okay? The first one is called "We Live It Happily During the War." We live it happily during the war, and when they bombed other people's houses, we protested, but not enough. We opposed them, but not enough. I was in my bed, around my bed America was falling. Invisible house by invisible house by invisible house, I took a chair outside and watched the sun. In the 6th month of a disastrous reign, in a house of money, in a street of money, in a city of money, in a country of money, our great country of money. We, 40 of us, lived happily during the war. The next poem I'll read is called "Deaf Republic." It's a 2-part poem, and I will only read the first part tonight. As you can see, there is a cast of characters. All you need to know is the following storyline. While breaking up a protest, soldier shoots and kills a young boy. The gunshot renders the whole town deaf, as townspeople refuse to hear the soldiers. The story follows private lives of newlywed couple, Sonia and Alfonso. The people in this book teach each other sign language. As I read, I won't be reading out the signs, but you will be seeing them as you go along. So hopefully you will learn some along the way. Okay. The Deaf Republic. Gunshot. Our country is a stage. When soldiers march into town, public assemblies are officially prohibited. But today, neighbors flock to the piano music from Sonia and Alfonso's puppet show in Central Square. Some of us have climbed in the trees, others hide behind branches and telegraph poles. When Petya, the deaf boy, in front row sneezes, the surgeon puppet collapses shrieking. He stands up again, snores, shakes his feet at the laughing audience. The army jeep swerves into the square, disgorging its own sergeant. Disperse immediately, the puppet mimics in a wooden falsetto. Everyone freezes, except Petya, who keeps giggling. Someone claps a hand over his mouth. The sergeant turns toward the boy, raising his finger. You, the puppet raises a finger. Sonia watches her puppet. The puppet watches the sergeant. The sergeant watches Sonia and Alfonso. But the rest of us watch Petya lean back, gather all the speed at his word, and launch it at the sergeant. The sound we do not hear leaves the gulls of the water. As the soldiers march, Alfonso covers the boy's face with a newspaper. Unfortunate people, most of us strangers, watch Sonia kneel by Petya shot in the middle of the street. She picks up his spectacles, shining like two coins, balances them on his nose, observes this moment, how it convulses. Snow falls and dogs run into the streets like medics. 14 of us watch. Sonia kisses his forehead, her shadow whole torn in the sky. It shimmers the park benches, porchlains. We see in Sonia's open mouth the nakedness of the whole nation. She stretches out in the middle of the street beside the little napping snowman. As speaking up, its belly, the country runs. Alfonso in snow. You're alive, I whispered to myself. There for something in new listings. Something runs down the street, falls, fails to get up. I run, etc., with my legs and my hands behind my pregnant wife, etc. Down Vasinka Street, I run. It only takes a few minutes, etc., to make a man. Deafness and insurgency begins. Our country woke up next morning and refused to hear soldiers. In the name of Petya, we refuse. At 6 a.m., when soldiers compliment the girls in the alley, the girls slide by, pointing to their ears. At 8, the bakery door is shut in soldiers Ivanov's face, though he's their best customer. At 10, Mama Galia shouts, "No one hears you," at the gates of the soldiers' barracks. By 11 a.m., arrests begin. Our hearing doesn't weaken, but something silent in us stretches. After curfew, families of the arrested hung homemade puppets out of their windows. The streets empty, but for the squeaks of strings and the tap against the buildings of wooden fists and feet in the ears of the town, snow falls. Alfonso stands unspherical. My people, you were really something fucking fun. On the morning of the first arrest, our men once frightened and bound to their beds now stand up like human mass. Daphne's passes through us like a police whistle. Here then I testify. Each of us comes home, shuts at the wall, at the stove, at the refrigerator, at himself, forgive me. I wasn't honest with you. Life, to you, I stand unspherical. I run, etc. With my legs and my hands, etc. I run down Washington streets, etc. Whoever listens, thank you for the feather on my tongue. Thank you for an argument that ends. Thank you for Daphne's Lord, such fire from a match you never lit. I watched this sergeant team, the boy take iron and fire in his mouth, his face in the asphalt, that made a bone and open it velvet, it is the air, something in the air wants us too much. The earth is still, the table guards eat cucumber sandwiches. This first day, soldiers examine the ears of bartenders, of accountant soldiers. The wicked sin silence death to soldiers. They cheer, chorus 5 from her bed like a door of a bus. Observe this moment, how it convulses. The body of the boy lies on the asphalt like a paperclip. The body of the boy lies on the asphalt like the body of a boy. I touch the walls, feel the pulse of the house, and I stare effortless and do not know why I am alive. We tiptoe the city, Sonia and I, between zitters and guardians and wrought iron gates. Be courageous, we say, but no one is courageous. As a sound we do not hear lifts the birds of the border. The deaf boy's body lies in the square. Sonia spoons him on the cement. Inside her, her child sleeps. Mama Galia brings Sonia a pillow. A man in a wheelchair brings a gallon of milk. Alfonso lies next to them in snow, wraps one arm around her belly. He puts one hand to the ground. He hears cars stop, doors slam, dogs bark. When he pulls his hand off the ground, he hears nothing. Behind them, a puppet lands on the cement, mouth filling with snow. 40 minutes later, it is morning. Soldiers step back into the square. The townspeople lock arms to form a circle, and another circle around that circle, and another circle to keep the soldiers from the boy's body. We watch Sonia stand, the child inside her straighten his slack. Someone has given her a sign, which she holds high above her hand. The people are deaf. Of weddings before the war. Yes, I bought you a wedding dress, big enough for the two of us. And in the taxi home, we kiss the coin from your mouth to mine. The landlady might have noticed it, the riddle of stains on the sheets. Angels could do it more neatly, but they don't. I can still climb your underwear, my ass is smaller than yours. You pat my cheek beam. May you win a lottery and spend it all on doctors. You are 2 fingers more beautiful than any other woman. I'm not a poet, Sonia. I want to live in your hair. You laughed on my back, I ran to the shower, and yes, I slipped on a wet floor. I watched you gleam in the shower, holding your breath in your hands to small explosions. Still newlyweds. You step out of the shower, and the entire nation comes. A drop of egg and lemonade shampoo. You smell like bees, a brief kiss. I don't know anything about you except the spray of freckles on your shoulders, which make me feel so thrillingly alone. I stand unearthed in my pajamas, been sticking out for years in your direction. Soldiers aim at us. They fire. As a crowd of women flees inside the nostrils of searchlights. May God have a photograph of this. In the piazza's bright air, soldiers drag Peter's body and his head on the stairs. I feel through my wife's shirt the shape of her child. Soldiers drag Peter up the stairs, and homeless dog Venus feel lost, first understand everything, and bark. I, now on a bridge, with no camouflage of speech, a body, wrapping the body of my pregnant wife tonight. We don't die, and don't die. The earth is still. A helicopter labels my wife on earth. A man cannot flip a finger at the sky, because each man is already a finger flipped at the sky. Checkpoints. In the streets, soldiers install hidden checkpoints and nail announcements on posts and doors. Deafness is a contagious disease. For your own protection, all subjects in contaminated areas must surrender to be quarantined within 24 hours. Sonia and Alfonso teach science in Central Square. When a patrol walks by, they sit on their hands. We see the surgeon stop a woman on her way to the market, but she cannot hear. He loads her into the truck. He stops another. She does not hear. He loads her into the truck. A third points to her ears. In the 70s, deafness is our only barricade. Before the war, we made a child. I kissed a woman whose freckles aroused the neighbors. She had a mole on her shoulder, which she displayed like a medal for bravery. Her trembling lips might come to bed. Her hair, water falling in the middle of the conversation, might come to bed. I walked in my barber shop of thoughts. Yes, I vivid her off to bed and a chair of my hairy arms. But parted lips, but bite my parted lips, lying under the cool sheets, Sonia, the things we did. As soldiers shook the stairwell. As soldiers stamp up the stairs. My wife's painted fingernails scratches and scratches the skin of her leg, and I feel the hardness of bone underneath. It gives me faith, for I am bombardment. My body runs in a loam of street, my clothes in a pillowcase. I look for a man who looks exactly like me, to give him my Sonia, my name, my shirt. It has begun. Neighbors climb the trolleys at the fish market, breaking all their moments in half. Trolleys burst like the intestines in the sun. Pavel shots, I am so fucking beautiful, I cannot stand it. Two boys still holding tomato sandwiches, hoping a trolley's light. Soldiers aim at their faces, their ears. I cannot find my wife, where is my pregnant wife? A body, an adult male, awaits to explode like a hand grenade. It has begun. I see the blue canary of my country. Big breadcrumbs from each citizen's size. Big breadcrumbs from my neighbor's hair. The snow lifts the earth and falls straight up as it should. To have a country so important. To run into walls, into street lights, into loved ones as one shoot. The blue canary of my country runs into walls, into street lights, into loved ones. The blue canary of my country watched the legs of the van and bow. You arrive at noon, little daughter, waiting, only 6 pounds. Sonia sets you atop a piano and plays a lullaby no one hears. In the nursery, quiet hisses like a match dropped in water. Lullaby. Little daughter, rain water, snow and branches protect you. Whitewashed walls and neighbor hands all, child of my April's little lord of 6 pounds. My white hair dips your sleep lit. Question: what is a child? A quiet between two bombardments. While the child sleeps, Sonia undresses. She scrubs me until I spit soapy water. Big, she smiles. A man should smell better than his country. Such is the silence of a woman who speaks again. Silence, knowing silence is what moves us to speak. She throws my shoes and glasses in the air. I am of deaf people, and I have no country but a bell stop and an infant and a marriage bed. Sopping together, that is sacred to us. Washing each other's shoulders. You can fuck anyone, but with whom can you sit in water? A cigarette. Watch. Washington citizens do not know their evidence of happiness. In a time of war, each is a ripped out document of laughter. Watch, God. Death has something to tell, though not even they can hear. Climb a roof in a central square of the bombarded city. You will see one neighbor zips a cigarette, another dips a dog, a pint of sunlit beer. You will find me, God, like a damn pigeon speak. I am pecking every which way at astonishment. Morning. In a bomb without street, wind moves the lips of a politician and a poster. Inside, the child, Sonia named Anushka, suckles. Not sleeping, Alfonso touches his wife's nipple, pulls pulls to his lips a pearl of milk. Evening, as Alfonso steps into Tadna Street in search of bread, the wind brittles his body. 3 jeeps pull onto the curb. Sonia is stolen into the jeeps as Anushka cries, left behind by convoy, rattles away. The neighbors speak from behind curtains. Silence, like a dog, sniffs the window panes between us. What you cannot hear. They shove Sonia into an army ship. One morning, in May, one dying bright morning, they shove her. She zigzags and turns and trips and silence reaches her soul's noise. Sonia, who once said, on the day of my arrest, I will be playing piano. We watch for men shove her. And we think we see hundreds of old pianos forming a bridge from Arlomas to Stern Street. And she waits at each piano. What remains of her is a puppet that speaks with its fingers. What remains of a puppet is this woman. What remains of her? They took you, Sonia. The voice we cannot hear, which is the clearest voice. Central Square. The arrested are made to walk with their arms weighted up as if they are about to leave the earth and are trying out the wind. For an April peak, soldiers display Sonia naked, and the troops are fighting for your freedom poster. Snow swirls in her nostrils. Soldiers circle her eyes with a red pencil. The 2 young soldiers aim in a red circle, spits. Another aims, spits. The town watches. Around her neck, a sign. Unresisted arrest. Sonia looks straight ahead to where the soldiers are lined up. Suddenly, out of this silence comes her voice. Ready! The soldiers raise their rifles at her command. A widower. Alfonso Barabinsky stands in a central square without a shirt, rakes up the snow and throws it on marching troops. His mouth drives the first syllable of his wife's name into false. He, on foot, a good mile and a half of wind, sets off for the beach and cobblestone streets, and stops every woman he meets. Alfonso Barabinsky, vodka flask in his pocket, bites a hole in the apple, and in that hole he pours a shot of vodka. He drinks to our health. A toast to his wife shot in the center of town, where her body lies down. Alfonso Barabinsky, a child in his arms, spray paints in his evil. People live here like an illiterate, signing a document he does not understand. For his wife, I'm your boy, drowning in this country, who doesn't know the word for drowning, and yes, I'm diving for the last time. This body, into which the hand of God plunges empty-chested stands. At the funeral, Mama Angala and her baby tears rise to shake my hand. I fold our child in a green handkerchief, brave gifts. You left my door slamming, wife and I, a fool, leave. But the voice I don't hear when I speak to myself is the clearest voice. While my wife washed my hair, when I kissed between her toes in the empty streets of our district, a beat of wind, call it for life. Wife taken, child not 3 days out of the womb, when my arms are apartment empty and the floor dirty snow from her boots, her dresses, her bright dresses with delicate zippers, her ironed socks. I stand by the mirror, trying on my wife's red socks. Elish, 6 words, Lord, please is Afstan, my town. Above blue tin roofs, darkness. Our boys want the public killing in sunlit pianos. The drunk soldier around his neck a sign. I arrested the woman of Vasenka. The boys have no idea how to kill a man. Alphonse Sands. I will kill him for a box of oranges. The boys pay a box of oranges. He cracks a raw egg in a cup, smells at trickles of oranges in the snow, and he tosses the egg down his throat like a vodka shot. He's washing his hands. He's putting on red socks. He's putting his tongue where his tooth has been. The girl spit into the soldier's mouth. A pigeon settles on a stop sign, making its way. An idiot boy whispers, "Long live deafness," and spits at the soldier. In the center of the piazza, a soldier on his knees backs and stomp. People shake their hands and point at their ears. Darkness is suspended above blue tin roofs and copper eaves. Daphne's feet and birches light post hospital roofs bells. Daphne's rents in our man's chest. Our girl signs start. Our boys with them frecklet cross themselves tomorrow. We will be exposed like thin lips of dogs. But tonight, we don't care enough to lie. Alphonse jumps on a soldier, embraces him, cuts him in the lawn. The soldier flies about the sidewalk. The town watches the loud animal bones in their faces and smells the earth. It is the ghosts who steal the oranges and hide them in their shirts. A city like a guillotine shivers on its way to the neck. Alphonse stumbles from the corpse of the soldier. The townspeople are screaming, elated, pounding him on the back. Those who climb in the trees to watch applaud from the branches. Mama Galia chats about pigs clean as men. At the trial of God, we will ask, why did you allow all this? And the answer will be an echo. Why did you allow all this? In the bright sleep of the sky, Is that you, little soul? Sometimes at night I light a lamp so as not to see. I tiptoe on the scuffed rafting in my palms, on my golden head upon it. To live. To live is to love. The great book commands. But such love is not enough. The heart needs a little foolishness. For our child, I fold the newspaper, make a hat, and I pretend to Sonia that I am the greatest poet. And she pretends to be alive. My Sonia has stories, and her eloquent legs and stories that open hazard stories. Stop told and while we're kissing, I see myself a yellow raincoat and sandwich, a piece of tomato between my teeth. I hoist our infant Anushka to the sky. Old fool, my wife might have laughed. I'm sitting at your pieces on my forehead and my shoulders. The townspeople watch them take Alfonso. Now, each of us is a witness stand. Passenka watches us watch. For soldiers throw Alfonso Barabinski on a sidewalk. We let them take him. All of us covers what we don't say. We carry in our suitcase, our coat pockets, our nostrils. Across the streets they wash him with fire hoses. First he screams and stops. So much sunlight. A t-shirt falls off the closest line, and an old man stops, picks it up, presses it to his face. Neighbors line up to watch him throw on a sidewalk like a vaudeville act. Ta-da! And so much sunlight. Each of us is a witness stand. They take Alfonso, and no one stands up. Our silence stands up for us. Away. A soldier marches away from us, carrying Sonia and Alfonso's child. In the center square, Alfonso hangs from a rope. Urine darkens his tresses. The puppet of his hand dances. Eulogy. You must speak not only of great devastation. We heard that not from a great philosopher, but from our neighbor, Alfonso. His eyes closed. He climbed other people's porches and recited to his child our national anthem. You must speak not only of great devastation. When his child cried, he made her a newspaper head and squeezed his silence like two pleats of an accordion. We must speak not only of great devastation. And he played that accordion out of tune in a country where the only musical instrument is the door. Question: what is a man? A quiet between two bombardments. Such is a story, made of stubbornness and a little air. A story sung by those who danced wordless before God, who whirled and laughed. Given voice to consonant satirize with no protection but each other's ears. We are on our bellies in the sands, Lord. Let us wash our faces in the wind and forget the trick shapes of affection. Let the pregnant woman hold something of clay in her hand. She believes in God, yes, but also in the mothers of her country, who take off their shoes and walk. Their footsteps erase our syntax. Let her man kneel on the roof, clearing his road, for the secret of patience is his wife, patience. He who loved roofs tonight and tonight, making love to her, and to her forgetting. Let them borrow the light from the blind. There will be evidence. There will be evidence while helicopters bomb the streets. Whatever they will open, will open. What is silence? Something of the sky in us. Okay, so this is the end of part 1 of the book. There is part 2, which you can read in March when the book comes out. All I'm going to do is to read you the very last poem of the book, which brings us back to our country in a time of peace. In a time of peace. Inhabitant of earth, for 40,000 years, I once found myself in a peaceful country. I watch neighbors open their phones to watch a cop demanding a man's driver license. When a man reaches for his wallet, the cop shoots into the car window, shoots. It is a peaceful country. We pocket our phones and go to the dentist to pick up the children from school, to buy shampoo and basil. Ours is a country in which a boy shot by police lies on a pavement. For hours we see in his open mouth the nakedness of a whole nation. We watch others watch. A body of a boy lies on a pavement, exactly like a body of a boy. It is a peaceful country, and it clips our citizens' bodies effortlessly, the way the president's wife trims her toenails. All of us still have to do the hard work of dentist appointments, of remembering to make summer salad, basil, tomatoes, it is a joy, tomatoes and a little salt. It is a time of peace. I don't hear gunshots, but watch birds splash over the backyards of the suburbs. How bright is the sky as the avenue spins on its axis. How bright is the sky. Forgive me. How bright. Thank you.
Ilya and Mary and Fanny, I've never had cause to wonder at that pose there, and with Ilya here and with this kind of triangulation, but somehow it was so incredibly powerful, this convergence. In fact, it is time. So please greet your neighbors. This work of art is so much about community and our fellow man. So please introduce yourself to the people next door. And there's some food remaining in the back and some leg room up here in which to converge. Thank you so much once again.